Flagman. Say those two words and anyone who has gone to or lived in the Hazard community in the last 30 years will instantly know who you're referring to. His name is Colin Campbell, and for the last 30 years he's been walking up and down Marsh Road, waving his flag and spreading joy. Over that time, he's counted over 1 million honks, waves, and smiles from members of the community. He is known and beloved by all from afar, but I wanted to know, who is Flagman, and what is his story?
My name is Colin Edward Campbell. I was born November 24th, 1947, and we lived in this house since '87. My mother died when I was 3 and a half, and they'd got a divorce when I was a year old, so I never really knew my dad, and not really knew my mother, really. I was raised by her father and mother.
Your grandparents?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. I was probably spoiled more than other kids. Yeah, I had one stepbrother, because my mother had got married again, and then was in the process of getting a divorce, I think, again. And then she had my stepbrother, who was raised actually in Florida. Grew up in the north end of Lansing. Went to the junior high school was Otto. And the two grade schools I went to was High Street and Cedar Street. And then I went to Eastern High School in Lansing. I liked all sports, but I really wasn't good in too many of them. I was more better than in neighborhood sports. I could like softball or flag football or stuff like that.
Who would you play those with?
Neighborhood kids. They had a lot back in there was a lot of kids back in the 50s and 60s. They called them baby boomers. Because after the war, so that's why there's so many kids in the neighborhood. Because I think at my high school there was either 500 or 700 that graduated.
Wow.
That was just the senior class.
So after high school, what made you decide you wanted to go into the Marines?
I'd already joined. I was already in the Marines when I graduated. I joined in April, I think, of that year. Took a physical down in Detroit, and I waited, and then graduated on a Wednesday, and then Monday I was in boot camp.
Wow.
Took a bus down to Detroit, and flew out the next day to Camp Pendleton in Florida. I mean, in California. All the other kids were more going in the Army. So I figured I'd go in the Marines. I don't know really why I did. I just did. You go 8, 10, 12 weeks of boot camp, and then you go up to a place called Camp Pendleton. That's where you do your infantry training. That lasts 6 weeks. And then after that, you get your orders. I never did see anybody from boot camp once I got over to Vietnam. Everybody would go different places. Wherever they needed you, that's where you went. And I was in what you called 81 mortars. This one here on the table is what you call 60 mortars. I wasn't trained in that. I was trained in a bigger one. But when I got over there, they stuck, well, actually, I think it was better because I think there was actually more 81 people got killed than there was 60 people. We even used rounds that were from Korea. I seen them go as high as this room and fall down.
Wow.
But see, they have a pin in there, and it has to go so high in the air before it's ready to discharge. But these just took off, went about as high as the ceiling, and then went back down. But luckily the firing pin didn't go out of them. For mortars, eventually you'd work yourself up to where the tripod is. You'd carry that. That'd be called what the gunner would carry. Then the A gunner would carry he'd be the one dropping the rounds down, and then the gunner would be the guy that adjusted where the shells was going. The guy would hang on to these, and the gunner, a gunner, would drop the round down there. Then he had to make sure his hand was away from it. One guy left his hand, and the iron part of the fin assembly just tore his whole hand up, and I never did see him again.
Talk about your time and whatever you'd like to share about Vietnam.
Well, we'd go out on patrol. I was on a ship for 6 months, but on the ship we were only actually on it for a day and a half. We were supposed to be like riot control. If the helicopter, if somebody was getting hit, we were supposed to go and help them. But luckily, we always went there after the battle was over, so we didn't run into any contact then. But I was in one of the biggest battles of the war. It was called Dido. And it ended up being 1,000 Marines. For every one of us, there was 10 of them. And I was one of 77 out of 1,000 that didn't get wounded. And actually, we did something that no other Marine unit did since '68, is 2 officers won the Medal of Honor. In most actions, maybe 1 might win it, but not 2. So we were lucky there. See, the enemy did most of their work at night, unless they really outnumbered you. If they outnumbered you a lot, then they would attack during the day. But normally it was mostly at night. They'd go probing you and that, and because the guys out in the front lines, they had what they called claymores. There was a box like that, and it shot that way unless they turned it around. Sometimes they did that. And they had a button with wire running to it, and then just squeeze it, and it'd shoot ball bearings out.
Dido was a 3-day battle taking place on April 30th, 1968. It was described as brutal toe-to-toe, hand-to-hand, house-to-house combat that dwarfed the fighting that had taken place before in intensity and volume. The Marines won the battle, killing over 1,500 Vietnamese soldiers, while the U.S. lost 500 soldiers.
Now these are all the meals. They had 4 for lunch, 4 for breakfast, and 4 for dinner. And the whole meal came out looking like this.
Wow.
That little bag had all this here in it, like a spoon, sugar, coffee, toilet paper, cigarettes. And then this here was some of the desserts they had. They had rolls, and then one can would have like 3 cookies in it.
Really?
With cocoa.
Oh.
I never did drink. I only drank coffee once over there.
What was your favorite meal?
Probably meatballs and beans.
What was your least
No,
favorite?
no. Not was it meatballs and beans? Some kind of lima beans. Finally, so many people didn't like it that they actually stopped making it.
Really?
I think it was ham and beans. We used a different word, but I don't want to repeat that word. Then we got resupplied about every 3 or 4 days. A helicopter would get in, and we'd have enough meals to last us another 3 days while we were going through the jungle.
Yeah.
Or if we were at a fire base is where they had artillery, 105s and 55s. But we had other artillery besides that. We even had a battleship called the New Jersey that fought in World War II. Anyway, the shell was 2,000 pounds. When it went over your head, you could hear it going. Because we had to have a Navy, we had an artillery guy, a Navy guy, and then maybe an Air Force officer that would direct airplanes into the action. And then during the night, they'd have like B-52 strikes. A B-52 would be almost as wide as a whole football field. But when you seen them up in the sky, they were that big. They were going back home to either Okinawa or Guam or someplace. But they just didn't have enough of them. Enough ships, airplanes. I actually seen one get shot down. Not one of the B-52s, just a regular jet. He was going in for a mission. Probably be almost over by where Grand River is. But we were on a hill, so you could see it. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he just went driving down, and I never seen him again. I don't think he pulled up. And here's another thing I'll show you that most Marines never do. This one thing I'd never seen in Vietnam. This is a vitamin drink. It's got 2 snakes in it. A 3-step viper and a cobra. I never did see this over in Vietnam. There used to be a family that lived on the corner down there, and they give me this bottle, but people drank this. You can look at it.
Really?
It won't bite. But it's a cobra and a 3-step viper, and they drink it.
Wow.
But the family give it to me. I never did see it over in Vietnam. And then, this was the only time I got wounded twice. By my own men. I got hit in the back of the head with this. But a different one. These guys were thrown at a stump. They missed the stump while I was reading the Bible. I hardly ever read a Bible, but this time I happened to be reading a Bible that my sister sent to me from Grand Rapids. And I don't know what hit me. It was either the back or but I had to have 7 stitches. But I had to have them the next day. A helicopter couldn't fly in because it got too foggy.
Wow.
So I had to have 5 or 7 stitches in the back of my head. That's the only time I ever got wounded. Well, I take that back. I got wounded again. They had these fence posts. They were iron like this wide, and they were about 8 or 10 foot long. Well, I was carrying 2 of them. And they had, where they put the barbed wire, they had little cues in the middle. They'd put the barbed wire in there. Well, anyway, we started getting incoming where they were shooting mortars probably like that at us. So I was throwing them off my shoulder, and the thing caught me right here and give me stitches. Right, I don't think I ever had stitches, but I had to have the thing. It was bleeding. So I was lucky. If you ever want to watch a good Vietnam movie, there's one called Hamburger Hill. That's more or less true, most of it. And then there was a Marine one too, Full Metal Jacket. That's more like, shows you what boot camp was. Because them sergeants were something else. Well, some of them did stuff to save your life, but some of them were sadistic. Doing things that wasn't right. Mm-hmm. Like, one guy got a box of chocolate chip cookies. His mom had made him. Well, anyway, they made him eat all these chocolate chip cookies with warm water until he puked. Now that wasn't any. That wasn't going to help him survive over in Vietnam. Yeah. But some of them guys did it. I had some good ones. They weren't sadistic ones like other guys you see in movies or something like that.
Today, looking back, what would you say your overall feeling about your time in Vietnam would be?
Well, I was one of the lucky ones. Didn't get wounded. Never got wounded. Just got Agent Orange, which is a cancer. I got a light case compared to other soldiers. And well, what it was it kill all the weeds and brush in front of you, so you had a field of fire. But I figured it was always the guys that were more or less doing the spraying. Or I could have got it from drinking some of the water. Because sometimes we didn't have enough water, and by accident we'd be walking through a stream and our canteen would accidentally fall into the water or drag it into the water and then drink it.
Agent Orange was a powerful herbicide used by U.S. military forces in the Vietnam War to eliminate forest cover and crops. Over 20 million gallons of Agent Orange were sprayed between 1961 and 1971. It was later proven to cause serious health issues including cancer, birth defects, rashes, and severe psychological and neural problems among the Vietnamese as well as the U.S. veterans. Just as we finished talking about the Vietnam War, there was a knock on the door. 2 other veterans that Mr. Campbell hadn't seen in 3 years walked in.
That was the tail
Come
end
on,
of the
Jada.
evacuation when they shipped them out of Saigon to Guam to wherever they went.
I never did see Saigon.
This is my buddy, Don. He's a medic in Vietnam.
Was he?
1,800 come back, 10,000 went over there.
Whoa! Damn, I can't even walk. I can't walk either.
What's going on?
I gotta have a
Breathe.
new hip.
I wanted to show him that snake you had.
That's right.
Right in here.
Holy cow.
Careful.
What's up, brother?
Take a drink.
Wiener.
And three-step viper. I
Oh,
never
from
actually.
Vietnam?
Yeah, I never seen it over in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Cause where I was at, there was nobody there but
Probably
the enemy.
A good friend of mine had a monkey, right?
Can you pull a cork?
No, but that's why it's so dark now.
I
It's in the
got
State
no
Journal,
hand.
1967.
What?
So, this article got on the post. Yeah.
Here, let the dog in.
It's to the end of the wrist. You know your funny bone goes up and down? It
Uh-huh.
ain't funny. You know why?
Why?
Because you make funny faces. That's why it's funny.
That's yours, yeah.
Thank you. I was in 60 mortars.
It was 60.
65. That's what
8
you're
guys
in.
No, I was in 67 to 68 and 69.
My brother's
I got
69.
there right when it started. It started like the week after I got there.
Wow, what a
I
coincidence.
thought I was having a good time until I heard all the shit. I heard all the bombs, and 8 guys got killed, about 100 got injured, 10 planes got knocked out.
Wow.
And Johnson said, well, we're either going in or going home, boys.
Going in.
So we went in, I guess.
Yeah, you were lucky.
12 months.
I had 2 brother-in-laws over there. But that ain't the kicker. They weren't American citizens.
Really?
One of them isn't an American citizen today.
Playing underneath the
They come from
US
Scotland.
Army.
Really?
They come from Scotland, and the government told them, you got a choice.
Really?
You either join or go back home. So one went in the Army and the one went in the Marines.
No, we're going.
The one that went in the Marines, he got that post-traumatic syndrome.
Yeah, stress, yeah.
And he's
I
only
got
there
it
4
too,
months.
I just-
He was in the 9th Marines.
My mind goes around,
Does it?
constant. Oh, yeah, I can't. I remember
So what do you do,
everything.
live in Lansing?
No, St. Louis, Michigan.
I know where it is.
I'm helping them out
Wow.
at that location. But just give me a heads up. I'm with the BMW 6132.
That's my number. I'm a floor man now.
Oh, are you?
But I was a medic and I was an x-ray tech.
Well, thank you for
in
your
Chicago.
service. I'm lucky I didn't have to use a medic too often. Only twice.
No, I didn't get
By
hit.
my own men.
Oh, man.
I was hoping I'd get hit, but I didn't get hit. I was scared.
You see this?
Always scared.
I got hit in the back of the head with this.
Oh, my God.
With one like it.
And you commandeered it.
Well, these guys were throwing at a post. I mean, this is on
Let me see how
artillery
sharp
base.
it is.
Huh? I just bought it just to show people that I got hit in the back of the head with it.
Well, yeah, those hurt.
Did it give me 5 or 7 stitches?
Well,
But
I
I
was
couldn't
a
have.
conscientious
I couldn't have enough.
objector.
Huh?
I didn't fight.
You didn't?
No, I was a conscientious objector. Seventh Day Adventist.
Yeah, but you were a
A
medic,
I
right?
didn't have time to fight. You don't have time to fight.
Well, I know.
Well, listen, they got a new movie out now that a Congressional Medal of Honor winner was given 34 years late.
Oh, wow.
But he was a medic in Vietnam. There was no medic in Vietnam except him that won it.
Wow.
But in
There's probably more
in
than
the
one.
Second World War, well, they didn't award it to him right away. I think they gave it to him after he died.
Wow.
But it's praise. What's the heck's the name of the movie? Got it written down.
A friend of mine that post, he's Mr. Connick. I'm not sure.
Mr. Who?
Connick. His name's Connick. And at 67 or whatever, somewhere around there, they were coming out with all these monkeys, right? So they didn't move, because they would have moved, they would have killed everybody.
Well, I gotta sit down. My hip is.
Go ahead, buddy. Sit
So
down.
anyway, they're coming out with all these monkeys. It's in the State Journal. And he didn't move. He woke up, and it was this monkey. It was his buddy then. He called him Peanuts. He put on his helmet, and the monkey shit in his helmet. They're best friends ever since. So anyway, he sent the monkey home. It's in the State Journal to his mom. They had a couple weeks or whatever. And they didn't like the cat or dog, but somebody fed it something, killed the damn monkey.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Take care. Nice seeing you.
Yeah.
We're dying off. We're dying off about 300 a day.
No.
That ain't
Thanks
cool.
a lot. I know.
It ain't cool.
It's the benefit of getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Hey,
had
getting
a
old.
brother-in-law.
Getting old ain't for sissies.
I had a brother.
3 veterans sharing experiences, stories, and exchanging laughs. So, you came home from Vietnam, and what did you think was next for you?
Well, I went and there was a factory named Motor Wheel. They used to build rims for cars and that. I put my application in there, but never got hired. So I put my application into Fisher Body. That's where they make the body. Then they ship it over to Olds, and Olds completes the job, putting wheels, the engine, and we put the cushions. An interior, they called it interior, but eventually Oldsmobile took that away from us. So, but I was non-skilled. I ran a bulldozer and front end loaders, and I worked over there by where Sexton is. I don't know if you know where that is. Mm-hmm. There was a building right there, right across the street from where the football field was. That's where I worked. I worked 2 years. I first started in 2 years. And then in '74, they went on. No, they didn't go on strike. They had a layoff, and that's how I got into what they called the powerhouse, where you ran a bulldozer. And it was funny. To run a forklift, you had to go to school. To run a bulldozer, you didn't have to go to school. So I ran a forklift, plus what do they call them? Forklifts and front end loaders. I even tipped over a front end loader. I was up on the coal pile, and they're not too safe on a coal pile, and the thing just went over. They never did get in any trouble for that. All I did was, my boss said, I bet you were, because I was a Vietnam veteran, I wasn't scared when the thing tipped over. I was scared. Because we used to have to go as high as these telephone poles, up in the air, in the coal.
So 30 years you worked there?
Yeah, I was going to have to go work on the line, because they were eliminating the job where I worked. They made the car, the body was made, and then they shipped it over to Olds to finish it. Eventually they even took our interior away and started making it over there. But that's where they put the tires on and the engine and all that was that Oldsmobile. All we did was the interior and the body stuff of it.
So how old were you when you stopped working there?
I don't know. It's been 20 years.
So did you retire?
Yeah.
Once you stopped working there?
Oh yeah, I was going to have to go work on the line. My wife said, why don't you just retire? But then I got a job as a crossing guard right over here. Well, first they sent me to, I don't know if you ever been in Okemos where they got that roundabout where the school is. What's the name? Over by Bennett, or where the high school is.
Yeah.
Well, you take that one road and you go all the way. Well, anyway, the roundabout. I was the first one to do that.
What made you decide to start walking up and down Marsh Road?
I think it just I wanted to bring a smile to somebody's. I wanted to do a veteran first. Then from there, I decided, well, maybe somebody that's having a bad day at work, or have just a bad day. I wanted to see if someone would wave at somebody they didn't know. And I've gotten over 1 million honks, waves, or smiles. The only thing I don't count are fingers. No, I do. I've had people wanting to fight.
Really? Why?
One person. Well, there's this guy who used to ride his bike up and down the street. He had a beard. And he was always after me for something. My leash ain't long enough and all that. Well, anyway, across the street one day, I was walking my other dog, the beagle dog. This is the beagle, anyway, this one is. But his name was Chester. Well, anyway, the guy said, the dog's walking too slow. And I said, it is no business of yours. And then he came up to my face and put his fist up like that. And I said, it don't matter anyway, you're gonna just get lost. Well, anyway, there was 2 cars waiting for the light to change. And one guy said, I'll cover your back. And a woman says, you want me to run over him? I don't know what happened. I haven't seen him in a couple years. I don't know what his problem was.
How do you keep track of all
I
that?
had, I got a clicker. I've went through 10 or 15 of them.
Really?
Right in there.
Tell them they'll want.
Huh?
Tell them they'll.
This
Wow. That's the one?
Well, no, I went through 15 of them. One time I bought 5, all up here at, what's that, sporting goods store? Went through 5. It'd go backwards or skip a lot, so I don't know what the problem was. I haven't taken this out in quite a while.
Yeah, when is the last time you've made the walk?
Oh, this morning.
Oh, okay.
The only reason is I take her. I can't go if I don't want to walk. The wheelchair won't go in the snow. So I had to rent a wheelchair so I could go further with her. But if there's any snow, plus she don't like rain, she won't go out in the rain. Well, I used to run. I used to run from here to. Well, I think I did it. I think I got into Williamston once. But I ran a marathon. There isn't too many runners can say they ran a marathon in 6 months of running, not training. Hadn't ran in 4 years. Started in January and ran a marathon in June. I ended up walking. I never ran anything over 15. But I've ran in Mexico, Oregon, California, New York, New Jersey. I'd go and run 6 miles. See, my wife was in karate, and sometimes I'd go with her. Or when we went on vacation, I'd go out and run 6 miles. I never ran in high school. I always thought that was a sissy sport, which I found out later it wasn't. Well, you don't know. Back in the 60s, they didn't do too much running outside unless you were on a track or something.
Yeah.
You didn't see nobody running until the 70s.
So you said you wanted to
Bring a smile to
Bring a
somebody
smile.
who was having a bad day.
yeah, and that's just what kept you going every day, just
Most of the days, unless there was too much snow. Then now it's well, depends on, see, the wheelchair won't go in the snow, so I can't do it that day.
Talk about what happened to your hip and what
Just
kind-
wore out. I had the left one done 2 years ago. Now this other one's done. I gotta wait until my diabetes goes down lower. They won't operate until my diabetes is lower. Cause I haven't been taking care of it like I should. Got lazy. Like sweets too much.
Yeah.
The government pays me because they think that caused Agent Orange. I mean, Agent Orange caused the diabetes. Plus, I had prostate cancer, and it caused. They think that caused, but I didn't have to have it operated on. They just took it out.
Yeah.
I didn't have to have no treatment, which was good.
Have you always carried the flag while you walk?
Well, sometimes I don't. I get lazy and don't carry it, but most of the time I do. It's easier for me going down there and then touching the button with where it says walk. I've had labs and before we moved here, I had Dobermans. I had a father and son at one time. People would bring over females wanting to get bred. And the Doberman wasn't that big. I bought them at the mall one year. At the Lansing Mall, they had a pet shop. And I bought the dog there.
How old is Jada?
I hate to say it. I think he might be 10. I got her when she was, I think, 3 years old.
Why'd you start counting how many honks you got?
That's probably just to see how many I'd get. Because I used to get like 1,000 a day when I was walking from here to Grand River and back. I'd get 1,000. And I figured I might as well get one of these so I can keep track so I don't forget. Which it don't matter. I just write it down.
What do you think your legacy is to the people of Hazlet?
Oh, one guy called me the mayor the other day. It doesn't really matter. I just do this politics stuff now. I don't do too much of nothing. One guy bought me a apple turnover the other day. I was going to pay for it, and the guy said, "No, I'll pay for it." I've gotten all kinds of gifts. I probably got 25 free breakfasts at Blondie's. Or one time a Marine. I don't know. I think they changed the name. It's down there by the 7-Eleven. It's a restaurant. And the guy said, "If you're ever in there, look me up." And he happened to be a chef there, and he ended up paying for my whole meal.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I'm real proud of that. I mean, for somebody to take I mean, they don't have to. It's just, I don't do it for that. I just do it to, some people want to show their patriotism or whatever. It isn't nothing to me to try to bring a smile, or even women that smile and all that, or guys. It's just something that I'm trying to, for the veterans,
For sure. So who is Flagman? A veteran, a father, a husband, and a beloved member of the Hazlet community. He's a kind-hearted man whose goal is to bring a smile to someone's face every day. So next time you see Flagman going down Marsh Road with his dog Jada, be sure to give him a honk and a smile, and remember to always thank a veteran.